All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if it has BSS for its local search and for its city search. So we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that pinned video, pinned post, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph down below here in white. Got our highest intent peeps. Over on the left is a peep searching for, boudoir photo shoot in my city, and they're searching that today, things like that. And so people that easiest convert, closest to the money, and we make a video. The videos we make are about BSS, kind of first getting found by these peeps. And over on the right, we got our lowest intent peeps. So we talk about over with our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We talk about BLCS, and right now we're currently only working with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. 0 slots means we're dying pretty fast because that means we're on page 2 or deeper if we got 0 slots page 1. And we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. So approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 and done searches. And that means we're invisible to approximately 80% of the market if we're on page 2 or deeper. And that means our business will be down pretty fast. Also, 1 slot on page 1, that ain't good enough anymore because every other boudoir photographer on page 1 is basically going to have 1 slot. And there's 10 organic slots. So if we got 1, there's going to be 9 other boudoir photographers there. We're not sending it out. We're not looking special. We're not looking differentiated. And as a result, boudoir photographers actually, or boudoir buyers, they're just going to click to all 10 people's website, opens everyone's website, submit a contact form for everyone, get a quote from everyone. And as a result, everyone's going to get price shopped, compared to death, price shopped to death. We have no pricing leverage, pricing power, just because there's so many options. And this is what approximately 80% of buyers do. The other, they're just page 1 only. So, we really only got to worry about the peeps on page 1 for approximately 80% of buyers. Now, 0-1 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. So it's not normal to have such a small number of slots page 1 Google search as a boudoir photography business owner. It's common, it's accepted, but it's not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And those 2 deeper root causes are 1, market saturation, and 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, with market saturation, what actually happens is the kind of over time, more boudoir photographers enter the market. Normally it's because people upgrade their gear, they get a new iPhone, an awesome camera, or new camera itself. They just decide I'm gonna throw up a Google My Business profile saying they shoot boudoir now, or they get a website created, say they're now a boudoir photographer, or they're posting the mom groups on Facebook saying they now for boudoir photo shoots. So it's more boudoir photographers in the market competing for the same number of buyers, and as a result, we actually run out. We basically kind of get out competed. It's just harder for every other boudoir photographer that's in the market. Now, there's 2 deeper root causes. The first one, market saturation. Yeah, I did that. But the most important one is this new one, the false belief of page 1 equality. So this is something boudoir photographers kind of auto-accepted, haven't really thought about. But many have felt that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slot page 1 on Google. And as a result, maybe their website was, page 1 slot 7. And some new boudoir photographers entered the market. And then their their boudoir photographer basically link got pushed down to, page 2 slot 2. So they're saying man, I help those people delete their websites and Google brings me back up onto page 1. But this is 100% the wrong mentality. Google will actually allow us and wants us to take as many page 1 slots on Google as possible as we're willing to put in the effort to take and acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days. So I know Google literally will give us as many slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire, which means the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. We also know that boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. So yeah, when you only got 0-1 slots page 1 Google, disappearing boudoir photographer, because if we got 0 slots page 1, we're on page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. if we got one slot page one, we're still basically invisible because we got one slot, same as the other 9 competitors on the page. So yeah, we're getting form fills, but probably 10% or less of those are converting. And this is kind of the disappearing boudoir photographers, kind of the warning sign, the warning symbol, the canary in the coal mine, saying that now our boudoir photography business itself is on the path to, is actually on the path to disappearing. But thankfully, we have discovered a solution. We discovered that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And I mean, it works exactly as the name says. We saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, so we show up there in as many placements as possible. And this is kind of like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains down in South America. The snow on the east side, the back side of those mountains. So what happens to that snow is it melts into small streams, flows into small streams and then small rivers, and eventually all the melted snow collects into the large Amazon River. And that large Amazon River, that's page 1 of Google search. So we gotta get the snow up top first, top of the mountain, so it can melt and come down, and that is S-cube methodology, is getting that snow up there. Everything flows from S-cube methodology. And what's interesting is this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can enable boudoir photography business to still have a chance to grow, even in an ever-saturating, boudoir photography marketplace in a relatively quick, and give that opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. The only other solution that gives that same benefit of enabling business to grow in a saturated marketplace that I've seen that is as strong as S-cube methodologies is having a large, well-known brand. But dude, that takes 5 to 8, for like 5 to 10 years. That is, that's way longer than our, S-cube methodology to kind of get that power to grow. And dude, we ain't got 5 to 10 years anymore. No, dude, AI is here. We do not have 5 to 10 years to wait anymore. We need to be building momentum now. And interesting, one of my estimates is that using S-cube methodology, my estimate is it'll actually enable boudoir photographers to, basically acquire and have a large, well-known brand in their area, approximately 8x faster than normal methods. It's because, we're being seen way more, higher volume, higher frequency, and more surfaces, more touch points. And so that's kind of my own estimate. And an example here, S-cube methodology, we are going to LA. Let's say we're in LA and there are 1 million boudoir photographers there. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they shoot boudoir. And so, over a million websites trying to rank page 1 Google search, ultra competitive. And we ain't got no large, well-known brand. So we've decided, man, our only hope here is S-cubed methodology. So we fire it up and we crank it to the max. So let's say we crank it to the max and we take literally the first 300 slots across all the social searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. And then we also take the, let's say those flow onto Google search at a, and we take the first 300 slots Google search. Well, 10 Google slots per page. So we're taking out literally the first 30 pages on Google. And so when a boudoir buyer searches for anything related to, high intent with boudoir in our city, we're basically the only one that comes up when they search on social, when they search on Google. So if, they got to go to slot basically 301 to find any of our competitors. So if that's the case, what is the whose business will most likely be growing in this situation? Probably ours, utilizing S-cube methodology. Whose businesses will likely be failing? Slowing down, disappearing, failing, going invisible. Most likely the other 999,999 other boudoir photography competitors in our city, because we're basically the only one buyers can find. So this is kind of a, kind of the most extreme example of what S-cube methodology could enable for a boudoir photography business. Now, once you're with S-cube methodology, we now have page 1 visibility, P1V. And yeah, initial benefit, we get more slots page 1 on Google, cool. And every new slot we get page 1 on Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. And when we make them invisible, they're page 2 or deeper, invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. That means we can basically control, through our effort, how many of our competitors would kick off, make them disappear in boudoir photographers, and make their boudoir photography business, be on the path to disappearing. So a lot of boudoir photographers actually like this initial benefit. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. So this is where the GBC universe recommends having a minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google search. Because when we have these, basically everyone else can have 1 slot. all the other competitors. So we're going to be dominating them with our 3 slots. And the ultra rare scenario where someone has 2 slots, well, we got 3 slots, we're still dominating them. So allows us to dominate in basically all scenarios. And finally, we know that Boudoir photographer with BSV, Boudoir search visibility, is a visible Boudoir photographer, a VBP. So we got our micro universe here. A disappearing Boudoir photographer with Boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. That's fine. We now have the solution, S cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility. We become a visible Boudoir photographer with Boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results utilizing S cubed methodology. So I wanted to dominate page 1 for this keyword, BLCS Boudoir. So I strictly use S cubed methodology. That's my results. Got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So I actually I was able to go from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days, purely by utilizing S cubed methodology. So now to the main event here. Let's see if this Boudoir photography business has BSS for its local search and its city search. So Middletown, Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. Okay. So here we go, Middletown, Delaware. So here we go, we got slot 1. Sponsor doesn't count. All right, we got slot 2. All right, we got slot 3. We got slot 4. Hey, we got slot 5. And we got slot 6. Slot 7. Slot 8. Amazing. All right, this is what we want. This is page 1 domination. When we got, 8 out of 10 or more slots on page 1. Google search for our highest intent keyword. Perfect. Exactly what we want. Obviously, we want as many as we can get, 9 or 10 as well, but hey man, 8's great. So we do not have BSS for local search, and we have achieved the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 for local search. Perfect. And that search, the largest city close by, which is Wilmington, the same thing. All right, so here we go. We got slot 1. Boom, slot 2. All right. So we got slot 2 here. So we do not have BSS for city search either. So we got 2 out of 10 slots. Nice. And a benefit. So we do not have BSS for local search, and we hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for local search. We also do not have BSS for city search, but we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for city search. So all in all, pretty good. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done local search for the highest intent buyer keywords in your city, and you saw in your local area, and you did a second search in your city, and you saw that you actually do have BSS in one or both of the cities, or you saw that you did not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots, and you're saying, oh, finally, thank the universe, something to finally solve this. SQ methodology is here, so you decide you want to use SQ methodology, and that's because you know page 1 equality is a false belief, which allows you to even look for a solution in the first place. And once you do that, you like the initial benefit, more slots on page 1. You like the other initial benefit, kicking more competitors off of page 1, so that way fewer, your price drops against way fewer number of boudoir photographers. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, there's 2 prongs. People get a new iPhone, cool, more boudoir photographers. People get a new camera, cool, more boudoir photographers. But you're actually thinking of this new 3rd prong. You're thinking ahead. You're saying, okay, AI is taking a few people's jobs now. It's going to keep taking more and more people's jobs into the future, into the future, into the future. And as it takes more and more people's jobs into the future, into the future, into the future, you actually, you actually want to fortify your position on page 1, prepare for the onslaught of new boudoir photographers, be forced into the market, because look, people still got to earn money. If they lose their job, they got a phone with amazing cameras. So we know new boudoir photographers will always be entering. And so you want to fortify your position, kind of like the levees down in Nolans, Louisiana, because that city's like below sea level. So they got to throw the levees up, extra fortification, so they don't get flooded. So you're seeing that, and you actually saying, okay, SQL methodology can also use for exactly that, fortifying your existing presence, page one, and across all social search. And you actually want to have page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need those things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also like the extra back-end things that SQ methodology does, where if you successfully execute it every day, you're increasing the probability every single day. Well, we execute it every day, that AI overview will recommend you. And that's because when we do SQ methodology, we're actually building these invisible thematic keyword columns for AI search to take in, kind of occupy more and more AI mind space or brain space in all these different AIs. So we're building different invisible thematic keyword columns, kind of like columns of Parthenon, Athens, and Greece, or like hub and spoke, like a bicycle tire, or where the hub in the middle are, or at least our business name across all socials and our website is the hub in the middle. And as we build these up more, we got more frequency, more authority, more relevance, more age. So all these increase the probability of us being recommended for the premium placement AI overview, and us being recommended in all the AI search platforms, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. And as a result, kind of this like invisible momentum we can build up. And you're saying you decide you're going to be the first one in your city to do this, because that my current plan right now is to work with only one boudoir photographer at a time. So you can actually close out all your competitors from doing this, get all these initial benefits, build up this invisible momentum, put a massive gap between you and the current boudoir photographers, and especially the future boudoir photographers that will eventually become boudoir photographers as AI eats more and more jobs. And you also know doing SQ methodology also supremely speeds up forming your own brand. So it helps compete against current market saturation, and doubly so, helps your brand become a household name way faster. My estimate is probably 8 times faster than traditional ways. Just because, dude, we're everywhere all the time. Social search, Google search, AI search. Just people won't be able to get away from us. And on the flip side, you see that if another competitor, if one of your competitors in your city works with me, and we do all those things for them, they get all those initial benefits, and the momentum built up for the secondary later on benefits, then what actually happens is there's a big gap between me and your competitor and then you. And to close that gap, you got to increase the well, first you got to rederive or derive for yourself the first time SQ'd methodology, how it actually works and how to successfully implement it. And then you got to go execute it day, and equal our effort. And if you do that correctly, well, you're never going to be 100% confident executing it, because you'll never be 100% confident you've derived it correctly. But even if you're equaling all our effort, you're simply maintaining the gap between me and your competitor and you. And so to outcompete us, you got to rederive it correctly, figure it out all correctly, and then you got to out execute us by like 2 or 3x. And it's like, dude, who's got the 80 hours in the day to do all that? So you decided, screw that. It's better for you to actually be the first mover in your city, lock out all your competitors from using this, and kind of roll this to victory. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DMs open. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed to new patients. But when I do open my DMs, shoot me a DM, and we will see if you qualify to utilize S-cubed methodology.